Elena walked carefully through the crowded market of Kalira Prime. The sun reflected off the polished metal roofs, creating a shimmer that made the bustling stalls almost glow. Alien merchants shouted in languages she didn't understand, waving their hands and pointing at strange glowing objects. Humans were rare here, and she could feel the curious eyes of traders and shoppers watching her as she moved past. She was here for supplies, simple things for her journey. Food, water, some energy crystals for her small personal ship. She had never been comfortable in large crowds, but this marketplace was unavoidable. The hum of conversation, the smell of alien spices, and the flicker of lights from floating signs made her feel both excited and uneasy. As she rounded a corner near a stall selling what looked like glowing fruits, a sudden commotion caught her attention. A crowd had gathered, murmuring in a mixture of alien sounds, and she saw the cause. A large black wolf, but unlike any wolf she had ever seen. Its fur shimmered with a subtle sheen, and its eyes glowed faintly amber in the sunlight. It was cornered near a stack of crates, growling, teeth bared, and it looked furious. Merchants were shouting, waving strange tools that Elena guessed were meant to control or capture the creature. The wolf's growl was deep and resonant, echoing through the narrow market streets, sending some of the shoppers backing away. Elena froze for a moment, unsure what to do. She had never confronted anything like this before. But then she saw it. The wolf's eyes, bright and intelligent, meeting hers. There was fear there, yes, but also something else. Plea, confusion, and maybe even trust. Something inside her clicked. Without thinking, she stepped forward. "Hey!" she shouted, waving her hands to distract the traders. "Leave it alone!" The traders turned toward her, shouting something she could not understand. One lunged forward, a strange device in hand, aiming at the wolf. Elena's heart raced, but she did not move back. She grabbed a small crate and threw it toward the trader. The device slipped from his hand, clattering loudly on the metal ground. The wolf snapped its jaws at another merchant, forcing him to retreat. Elena's mind raced. She needed a plan, but she had no weapons, no training, only courage. She ran toward the wolf, speaking softly, trying to show she meant no harm. Surprisingly, the wolf did not attack her. It seemed almost aware. Its amber eyes followed her every move as she moved closer. With a leap, she grabbed a hanging rope and swung herself over a stall, landing in front of the creature. The wolf growled low in its throat but did not strike. Instead, it stepped back as if giving her space. The traders were now shouting louder, more frantic. Elena noticed a crate of glowing crystals at her feet. She picked one up and held it out. The wolf sniffed it cautiously, then nudged it with its nose. Elena smiled. "Good. We can do this together," she whispered. Using a mixture of hand signals, soft words, and careful movements, she guided the wolf away from the crowd. It hesitated at first, but then began moving behind her, trusting her direction. They weaved through narrow alleys and behind stalls, dodging merchants who still tried to chase them. Finally, they reached the edge of the marketplace. The hum of voices grew distant, replaced by the rustle of alien trees and the faint scent of wet earth. The wolf paused at the boundary between the market and a dense forest-like area that seemed almost unnatural in its beauty. Its fur shimmered as if absorbing the light, and it turned its head to look at her, almost questioning. Elena knelt down. "Do you want me to follow you?" she asked softly. The wolf stepped closer, brushing against her leg in a gesture that felt like consent. She stood, heart pounding, and together they moved into the forest. The deeper they went, the stranger the surroundings became. The trees seemed taller than any she had seen, with leaves that shimmered in colors she couldn't name. Strange creatures peeked from the shadows, watching her with curious eyes, then disappearing before she could get a closer look. Floating lights drifted between the branches, moving in patterns that almost seemed like they were guiding her path. Elena realized she had no idea where she was going. This forest felt alive, as if it were aware of her presence. The wolf occasionally stopped, sniffed the air, and then padded forward again. It seemed to be leading her somewhere important. As they moved deeper, Elena heard distant sounds, soft, melodic calls that resonated in the air, almost like singing. She shivered, part from the cool air and part from the strangeness of it all. She had read about this area in old logs and explorer notes. It was called the Whispering Forest, a place said to be home to rare and intelligent creatures that had never been fully understood by humans or aliens alike. Elena's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden rustling. She froze. The wolf growled, low and protective, positioning itself between her and the source of the sound. From the shadows, a small creature emerged, a delicate being no bigger than a child with translucent wings and bright eyes. It regarded her carefully before darting back into the darkness. This place, it's alive, Elena whispered to herself. The wolf gave a small bark, almost as if agreeing. She felt a strange connection to it, like they understood each other without words. Hours seemed to pass as they moved through the dense forest. Elena's curiosity grew, but so did her awareness of the dangers. This was not a place for ordinary humans, and yet the wolf never faltered. It seemed to know every step, every hidden path. Eventually, they reached a clearing bathed in golden light. In the center stood a large stone formation, covered in moss and strange glowing markings. Around it, dozens of black wolves emerged from the shadows, circling cautiously. They were majestic, powerful, and intelligent. Their eyes glowed faintly like the first wolf's, and each movement seemed calculated, aware. Elena froze, unsure how to react. The wolves stopped, forming a semicircle around her and the black wolf she had saved. There was silence, then a single commanding growl. The alpha wolf, larger than the rest and with a crown of silver-tipped fur, stepped forward. Its amber eyes fixed on her. The wolf she had saved nudged her gently, encouraging her to stand tall. Elena took a deep breath, raising her hand slowly to show she meant no harm. The alpha circled her once, sniffing the air, before letting out a long, low howl that echoed through the forest. Elena realized she had entered a world she had never imagined. These were not ordinary wolves. They were intelligent, organized, and clearly the guardians of this hidden realm. She had no idea what the wolf pack expected from her, but she knew one thing: her life was about to change forever. As night began to fall, the clearing glowed with bioluminescent plants, and Elena could hear distant calls of other creatures hidden in the forest. The black wolf pressed close to her side, and she could feel its calm strength. For the first time in her life, she felt completely unafraid. The wolf's eyes met hers once more, and she understood its silent message. Trust us. Follow us. With a final glance at the fading marketplace behind her, Elena stepped forward into the unknown, guided by the black wolf and the pack that awaited her. She did not know what dangers or wonders lay ahead, but she was ready. Whatever this forest and its guardians had in store, she would face it with courage. The first night in the whispering forest passed quietly. Elena slept beneath a canopy of shimmering leaves, with the black wolf curled protectively beside her. In her dreams, she saw visions of the pack, of their history, and of strange energies flowing through the land. She awoke with a new sense of purpose. Tomorrow she would meet the alpha again and perhaps learn why she had been brought here. For now, she allowed herself a moment of wonder, realizing that saving one black wolf had changed her life in ways she could never have imagined. Elena awoke to the soft glow of bioluminescent plants lighting the forest floor. The air was cool and crisp, filled with scents she had never smelled before, earthy, floral, and faintly metallic. The black wolf was still beside her, its amber eyes half closed but alert. She rubbed her eyes and took a deep breath. Today she would meet the alpha wolf again and perhaps understand why she had been led here. The forest was quiet at first, but soon, faint rustling reached her ears. From behind the glowing trees, dozens of black wolves emerged, their fur shimmering like dark silk. They moved gracefully, circling her and the wolf she had saved. She noticed subtle differences among them. Some were larger, some smaller, but all had an intelligence in their eyes that went far beyond ordinary animals. Then, from the shadows, the alpha appeared. It was magnificent, its size imposing with silver-tipped fur that seemed to glow in the golden light of the forest. It walked with calm authority, head held high, eyes locked on Elena. The smaller wolves parted, allowing a clear path for the alpha. Elena felt a mix of awe and nervousness, but reminded herself to stay calm. The black wolf she had rescued nudged her forward, and she took a hesitant step closer to the alpha. The alpha sniffed the air around her, circling slowly as if studying her very essence. Elena held her breath, unsure what to do. Then the alpha stopped, lowered its head slightly, and let out a long, low howl that echoed through the forest. The other wolves responded, howling in harmony. Elena felt a strange vibration in her chest, as if the sound carried a message she could almost understand. The black wolf pressed against her side, a reassuring gesture. She realized that the howl was not just communication between wolves, it was acknowledgement. A ritual of acceptance. A small group of wolves approached her, sniffing her hands and feet, their movements cautious but curious. Elena extended her hand slowly. One of them, a younger wolf with bright amber eyes, touched her fingers gently with its nose. A warmth spread through her, a silent connection forming between human and creature. The alpha stepped forward again, circling her once more. Then it stopped, staring directly at her. Elena sensed that the wolf was testing her intentions, judging her courage, honesty, and heart. She met its gaze, holding it steady. The moment stretched, charged with silent understanding. Finally, the alpha stepped back, its posture relaxed. It had accepted her presence. Elena exhaled, a mix of relief and wonder flooding through her. She had never felt such a deep connection with any creature before. The wolves began to move together, forming a semicircle around her, their leader at the center. Then, as if prompted by the alpha, the black wolf she had rescued turned and ran ahead, motioning for her to follow. She followed through the dense forest, navigating winding paths lined with glowing plants. Strange vines hung from the trees, pulsing faintly as if they were alive. The forest seemed to react to their presence, flowers opening, leaves shifting, and lights flickering. Elena realized she was not just in a forest. She was in a living ecosystem that sensed and responded to life around it. After some time, they reached a clearing. In the center stood a crystal formation, its surface smooth and translucent, reflecting light in all directions. Around it were more wolves sitting silently. The alpha approached the crystal, and Elena noticed faint streams of light flowing from it into the ground, spreading throughout the forest. The black wolf nudged Elena gently toward the crystal. She approached cautiously, sensing the energy radiating from it. A soft hum filled the air, vibrating in her bones. It was mesmerizing. She realized that the forest and the wolves were guardians of this rare energy source, crucial to the balance of the planet. The wolves had not only protected it, but had evolved alongside it, becoming intelligent beings attuned to its flow. Suddenly, the alpha turned its gaze toward her, and Elena felt a silent question. "Will you protect this with us?" It was not spoken in words, but she understood it perfectly. Her heart pounded. She had never considered herself a guardian of anything beyond her own survival, yet here she was, entrusted with the safety of an entire ecosystem. Elena nodded slowly, feeling a sense of purpose she had never known. The black wolf pressed against her side again, affirming her decision. Then the alpha stepped forward, touching her hand with its nose, a gesture of trust and welcome. The other wolves responded with soft growls and whines, acknowledging her as part of the pack. The next days passed quickly. Elena learned the ways of the forest and the pack. She discovered that the wolves communicated through subtle gestures, sounds, and scents, sharing knowledge and instructions without words. She learned to move quietly, read the environment, and sense the flow of energy from the crystal. One morning, a new challenge arrived. From the edge of the forest came strange mechanical creatures, sleek and silver, moving with precision. They were surveying the forest, probing for the energy source. Elena realized they were explorers from a distant alien civilization, unaware of the wolves' guardianship. The alpha gathered the pack and turned to Elena. She understood immediately. She had to help defend the forest. Using what she had learned, Elena guided the wolves, setting subtle traps with vines and stones, creating distractions, and leading the intruders away from the crystal. The wolves moved as one, coordinated and precise, while Elena used her human intuition to anticipate the mechanical creatures' moves. After tense hours, the mechanical creatures retreated, unable to breach the forest's defenses. The wolves gathered around the crystal, their eyes glowing with satisfaction. The alpha approached Elena, bowing its head slightly in respect. She felt a rush of pride and connection, knowing she had earned the pack's trust and proven herself as part of this extraordinary world. Days turned into weeks, and Elena adapted fully to life with the wolves. She learned their habits, rituals, and even shared moments of quiet joy with them, running through open clearings, watching the glowing plants, and listening to the whispers of the forest at night. She discovered that the forest was not just alive, it was aware, and it responded to kindness, courage, and intelligence. One evening, as the sun set and the forest glowed with golden light, the alpha led her to a high cliff overlooking a vast valley. From this height, Elena could see the full scope of the forest, glowing rivers, floating lights, and scattered crystal formations stretching into the horizon. The black wolf she had rescued stood by her side, silent and loyal. The alpha sat beside her, and Elena realized that she had found something she had never expected: a new home, a purpose, and a family beyond humans. She understood that the wolves, the forest, and the energy they protected were now part of her life. She would not return to the market or the crowded cities. Her destiny was here, among the guardians of the whispering forest. As night fell, the forest came alive with sounds and lights. Elena stood in the clearing, feeling the energy flowing through the ground, through the air, and into her very being. The wolves gathered around, and the alpha raised its head, letting out a howl that echoed across the valley, a sound of unity, strength, and welcome. Elena closed her eyes, feeling the black wolf press against her leg. She had faced the unknown, trusted her instincts, and stepped into a world far beyond her imagination. The forest had accepted her, and she had accepted it. Together they would protect this hidden world, its secrets and its life force. And in that moment she realized that saving one black wolf had changed everything. It had led her to a destiny she could never have dreamed of, a life among intelligent, noble creatures, guardians of a world that few humans had ever seen. She smiled, ready for whatever challenges and wonders the forest and its pack would reveal next. For Elena, the adventure was only beginning, and she knew that with the wolves at her side she could face anything.